Q2 has officially come to a close, which means that not only do we have new car sales data for the month of June, but more importantly, we have Q2 of 2024 sales data showing how automakers fared this past quarter. So let's get into it. Now, when it comes to Q2 and June sales, it's sort of a mixed bag. While some automakers did very, very poorly, some did just okay. There were a few that also knocked it out of the park as well. First, let's talk about the winners. Fiat, at least on a percentage basis, was one of the biggest winners this past quarter, with vehicle sales up more than 119%. Actually, the real winner here was VinFast, with sales up over 2,700%. But we won't go into that one for this video. But seriously, with many automakers, even the ones that won didn't feel like they won by that much, because the automakers that were up double-digit percentage points were in general low production brands. But seriously, with many automakers, it felt as though the brands that won really didn't win by all that much, because even brands that were up weren't up by that much. Alfa Romeo was a winner this past quarter with year-over-year growth in sales by 8%. BMW saw sales growth of 4%. Buick grew by 6%. Honda by 5%. Mazda by 7%. Lexus and Toyota both grew by 9%. Volvo grew by 13%. And Volkswagen grew by a whopping 31%, going from 76,934 units in Q2 of last year compared to 100,612 units in Q2 of this year. An impressive feat by Volkswagen. And while some of this sales growth is certainly nothing to dismiss, it is a telling sign that the car market in general is absolutely slowing down. Because it wasn't that long ago that automakers were seeing double-digit sales growth almost without fail quarter after quarter. And now, instead of seeing double-digit sales growth, in many cases, we're actually seeing double-digit sales decline. And for some automakers, things definitely aren't looking good. Tesla saw sales declines of 5% in Q2, which is less than what Tesla saw in Q1, but obviously not ideal. Tesla also produced about 14% less cars in Q2 of 2024 compared to the same period in 2023. Now, some people watching this video may say something along the lines of, while the EV market is crashing, there is no demand for electric cars, so of course Tesla is seeing EV sales decline. This is an EV market problem, not a Tesla problem. And while mainstream headlines might actually make you believe that this is true, it really isn't. Because while EVs may not be growing at as fast of a pace as automakers and the government has wanted, it doesn't mean that this segment isn't growing at all. Because while Tesla saw a 5% sales decline in their EV lineup, which is their entire lineup, GM saw a 40% increase in their EV sales, Rivian saw 5% growth, BMW saw a 24% growth with their EVs, and while Ford, as I'm recording this video, hasn't reported their numbers, we are expecting to see growth within their EV lineup as well. Granted, not all EV automakers grew. Polestar saw a decline of 34% in their sales. The point is, while I'm certainly not insinuating that Tesla is in the same league as Polestar, what I am saying is that Tesla sales decline really can't be attributed to the fact that the EV market isn't meeting the expectations of many automakers and government officials. And it also can't be attributed to slowing EV demand. Because by all metrics, the EV market is in fact growing, just not at the pace as many people expected. And we can instead attribute Tesla's sales decline to more increased competition in the space from the likes of GM, Rivian, BMW, Ford, and more. And while Tesla didn't see sales growth, they also can't be considered a sales loser because there are still a lot of brands that performed a lot worse. Stellantis was a big loser, and we've seen the writing on the wall with this one for a while now. Stellantis across their entire lineup has been having issues with piling inventory, which is why you can find virtually every Stellantis product with steep discounts. But across the board, with the exception of Alfa Romeo, Fiat, and Maserati, which saw an 8%, 119%, and 20% growth, Chrysler sales declined by 18%, Dodge declined by 17%, Jeep declined by 19%, and Ram declined by 26%. Even with the growth from Fiat, Alfa Romeo, and Maserati, Stellantis still saw a cumulative sales decline of 21%. General Motors certainly didn't see the declines of Stellantis, but they are still what I would consider to be a loser, at least in this quarter. While General Motors' EV lineup has continued to gain traction across their brands, they did see a cumulative decline of 0.3%, with Buick and their 6% growth really carrying the team, while Chevrolet as well as Cadillac seeing sales declines of about 1%. Hyundai and Kia were flat year over year, with Hyundai seeing growth but Genesis and Kia seeing declines. And while brands like BMW grew this past quarter, Audi saw steep declines of 12%. On top of all of this, vehicle inventory across dealerships is up by a whopping 55%. So while sales volume declined by 1%, the amount of inventory available to buy has increased by 55%, which is massive. Dealership incentives have also risen by about 51%, and the average amount of days a car sits on dealership lots prior to being sold has increased from 28 days this time last year to 45 days in the present day. That's a 61% increase, which is crazy. Now, we really still need more data to show us how the rest of 2024 will play out, because if we look at June of 2024 data instead of Q2 of 2024 data, you can see that as we headed into June, sales were actually really strong for some brands that otherwise had weak Q2s. But is that because the car market strengthened as we headed into Q2? Or is it because of the fact that June is a historically good time to buy a car because of the fact that it's end of month, end of quarter? And so this gave automakers a temporary end of quarter boost. Well, I tend to think that it's the second option, but we really won't know until we head deeper into Q3. But a few things that we do know that based on the most recent data are absolutely true is that car sales are absolutely declining. It's taking longer to sell a car today in 2024 than it took this time last year in 2023. Dealership incentives are going up, and inventory for dealerships is increasing. And all of this together creates a recipe for declining car prices. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.